Welcome back. We have a lot to talk about on this Taco Tuesday. It's also Tasty Tuesday, so we're discussing some of the new delicious food you can find right here in the Valley. Editor of OffTheStrip.com, Melinda Sheckells, joining us live right now. Melinda, as always, so good to see you. I'm hungry. My stomach is just moving, waiting to talk to you about all this stuff. So let's go ahead and start off with this first one. What's up with this new taco shop?
Tacos El Cabron is from San Diego, so it's a California-style taco shop. And when I say California-style taco shop, I mean you're going to find lots of cool hybrid ingredients like spicy shrimp. You're going to find French fries. So they also do a surf and turf French fries with carne asada and spicy shrimp. And they're imported from San Diego. They're actually coming last week. We found out they're going to be at Resorts World as well. They have a new location on Maryland Parkway, and then even potentially a third location that's going to be opening here in the Valley. Tacos El Cabron is really, really cool inside. They have a great patio. They also specialize in birria, which is like a beef stew, which comes with consomme. You've probably seen it on Instagram. Birria tacos are all the rage in terms of the foodie influencers. So you can check that out, Tacos El Cabron. Fantastic selection of tacos, burritos, French fries, and all done in that California style.
It looked so good just now. Okay, so something else that's also very, very delicious. We're going from tacos now to sushi. So I'm curious if you could tell me where we could get some good sashimi.
Okay, so all you can eat sushi is also all the rage here in Las Vegas. All you can eat sushi bars are popping up everywhere, but there is definitely, you got to go with the quality. There's the good versus the bad. So one of the very, very good ones that I recently found was Sushi Ichiban. It's located downtown inside of Emergency Arts Building, which is right across the street from the El Cortez. It's $27.95 and it's all you can eat. So you can get sashimi dishes, you can get nigiri, you can get all your favorites, even uni, yellowtail, tuna. Then they have also a selection of hot appetizers as well. And then they also have fabulous desserts. And then you can just kind of pile on anything you want and just keep eating. They're also open for lunch on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday if you want to head in early, and then in the evenings the rest of the week. But Sushi Ichiban, really fabulous, great presentation, and all the quality was amazing.
I love that the place actually looked pretty laid back, pretty chill too, but the food looked absolutely delicious. So it's a nice kind of combination there. Let's also talk about this delicious local restaurant rolling out a new menu. So what can we expect to find at Makers and Finders?
One of my favorites here locally, a couple weeks ago, we were chatting about their new coffee shop in Chinatown called Take It Easy Roasters, and now Makers and Finders across their two locations in Arts District as well as downtown Summerlin are unveiling new menu items. So they have the most creative Latin American fare. And some of the things that I love there, their burgers, their chorizo mac and cheese. They do these incredible handmade empanadas. So they're doing a breakfast skillet with handmade empanadas. They also have a major vegan menu for the vegans out there. They're doing a vegan espresso dessert as well as cocktails. So they do have a full bar, and they do serve very inventive dessert cocktails, one of which is the lemon sorbet spritz. It's prepared tableside. Number of different new breakfast and lunch and dinner items. You can check out both locations. They debuted their new items downtown actually yesterday on April 5th. And next week on April 12th, they will debut their downtown Summerlin items. And if you haven't been to Makers and Finders, it is one of the coolest and best local small businesses, restaurants to support. My favorite coffee in town. And you gotta run there, I would say.
I've been there. It is absolutely delicious. We ran out of time, but you know what, Melinda? I think I'm going to pitch taking Tasty Tuesday on the road because it would be nice to kind of try those as we chit chat, right?
You and me all day long.
Okay, we'll go for it. Thank you so much, and we'll be right back.
13 Action News live at midday.
Right now, the Valley's only 11 a.m. newscast, a new push to get casinos to vaccinate employees. The incentive the State Gaming Board is offering the properties. Plus, CDC updating guidance on disinfectants versus using soap on surfaces to stop COVID spread. Looking to fill hundreds of spots, the 3 companies holding hiring events this month. Hello, and thank you so much for joining us here on 13 Action News Live at Midday. I'm Kalina Estrinos. We are starting off with Justin Bruce, giving us a little sneak peek at the forecast. Justin?
Cleta, with highs in the upper 70s this afternoon, and sometimes in April we do have these dips, but we've got a lot of 80s looming in the forecast. We really want to try to enjoy the very pleasant weather that is out there this afternoon. Maybe a little too cool to hang out in the pool, but pretty great if you're doing anything outside, especially if you can find some shade. Now we're waiting on these breezes to finally relax. 16-mile-per-hour wind at the North Las Vegas Airport, 13-mile-per-hour wind at Nellis. Still a 10-mile-per-hour breeze around the Henderson Executive Airport. Up on the north side of the valley, it'll take a couple more hours until that wind falls below 10 miles per hour. But if you're on the south side of the valley, it's already starting to turn pretty calm out there. As we make the move to midday, upper 60s and low 70s on the map. It looks like the afternoon planner delivers numbers in the upper 70s. We're forecasting a high at 5 p.m. right around 78 degrees. This is 10 to 15 degrees lower than the low 90s that we're dealing with Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So definitely a drop temperature-wise. That warm-up, though, comes back tomorrow pretty quickly. We'll talk all about the forecast as we look ahead to the end of the week.
All right, Justin, thank you. And this just into our newsroom right now. California plans to lift most coronavirus restrictions on businesses and workplaces on June 15th. State officials say the mask mandate, though, that will stay in place. California, as we know, has some of the nation's strictest pandemic rules, becoming the first to put a statewide stay-at-home order into effect last spring. The Gaming Control Board is taking a major stance in the fight against COVID-19. It's now enticing hotels to protect their employees. The Gaming Control Board telling casinos if they want capacity limits increased, they'll have to show they've taken steps to vaccinate their workers. Anthony Curtis with LasVegasAdvisor.com says the casino capacity limits is a bargaining tool.
Well, I think that the topic is so sensitive that gaming wants to make sure they've got all the bases covered. And capacity is a lot of leverage for them. Capacity is kind of number one when it comes to recovery for the casinos and most businesses. So they can use that capacity card as leverage to make sure they get their way. And their way is the vaccine.
The Gaming Control Board memo also threatens to take action against gaming operators who put a priority on making money over the well-being of their employees. Now, on-site vaccinations are already underway for Caesars Entertainment at the Rio and also at the Cosmopolitan. And today, Station casinos will launch their on-site vaccination program. Also happening today, the Salvation Army is teaming up with the Nevada Health Centers to distribute doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The appointment-only event is open to the homeless, clients, staff, and volunteers. It'll be at the Salvation Army in North Las Vegas on Owens Avenue. The clinic runs until 4 o'clock this afternoon. A new push to encourage Black and Latino communities to get their vaccine. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto and Representative Stephen Horsford addressed problems facing communities of color and called the vaccine safe.
You may be hesitant, and that's understandable. Our Black and brown communities remember the past.
We know that our nation's history of systemic racism has led to unethical experiments, unequal access to care, and bias in treatment.
Both leaders also adding people of color helped work to develop the vaccines. Representative Horsford also reminding undocumented immigrants can get vaccinated without fear of deportation. Last month, the Southern Nevada Health District said just over 5% of African Americans have received their first dose. That group, though, makes up more than 12% of the valley's population. New at midday, joining forces to push back against hate. This morning, Clark County commissioners approving a resolution condemning racism, xenophobia, and intolerance against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. The commissioners were joined by members of the local AAPI community. The Capitol police officer killed in last week's attack at the building will lie in honor in the Capitol's rotunda next week. Officer William Evans died Friday after a man rammed a vehicle into a barricade at the Capitol. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi ordering flags at the Capitol to be flown at half-staff in his honor the same day. Now, Evans served on the Capitol Police Force for 18 years. This morning, George Floyd's friend appeared in court to determine whether he would testify in the Derek Chauvin trial. Court TV's Chanley Painter reports there's concerns Maurice Hall may incriminate himself.
The attorney representing the man who was a passenger at George Floyd's vehicle the night of Memorial Day 2020 has told the court that he would invoke the Fifth Amendment if called to testify in the Derek Chauvin murder trial. This morning, Adrian Cousins, an attorney with the Public Defender's Office, argued on behalf of Maurice Hall.
Mr. Hall would be invoking his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination were he called to testify. I then subsequently filed my notice, my motion to quash the subpoena. Your Honor, at this point in time, Mr. Hall has no immunity. He has been provided no immunity, no protection for his testimony whatsoever. And because of that, Mr. Hall is invoking his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination in several key areas of questioning that we believe he would face were he to be called to testify.
Cousins went on to say that Maurice Hall is at risk of being charged with third-degree murder in Floyd's death if he takes the stand, and Judge Cahill agreed that a narrow topic of questioning might be permissible and asked Chauvin's attorney to submit questions to be reviewed by Hall and his lawyer before the judge would make a decision in the coming days. So far on day 7, the prosecution has called the crisis intervention coordinator of the Minneapolis Police Department to the stand. We're also expecting to hear from a use of force expert today. That's the latest from downtown Minneapolis. I'm Chanley Painter with Court TV.
The CDC now providing new guidance on cleaning and disinfecting everyday household surfaces. The agency now says without a known coronavirus exposure, a simple scrub with soap and water will do the trick. The center says disinfectant sprays and wipes are only needed for schools and homes where there has been a suspected or confirmed case of COVID within the last 24 hours. Starting today, senior centers run by the county are reopening. Among them, the West Flamingo and Cora Coleman Senior Centers. Both places have been closed for most of the pandemic. Centers will be limited at 50% capacity. Masks and social distancing will be required. And anyone who plans to attend must show proof they got at least the first dose of the vaccine no less than 2 weeks prior to attending. Vaccine cards are accepted as proof, and registration is required for activities. You can do that by calling the center or walking in. Well, if you're looking for a job, Caesars Entertainment is looking to hire 200 guest room attendants. These positions need to be filled immediately at 7 Caesars properties. The company is holding a virtual hiring event this week. This is happening on Thursday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. You do have to apply beforehand. Also happening, Circa hosting 2 drive-through hiring events this month. They'll be held at their sister property, Golden Gate, and they're happening next week on April 13th and the 27th. The resort is hiring for all positions, including housekeeping and security, and you do have to apply online. And as the Las Vegas ballpark gets ready to open, it's also hosting a job fair as well. This one is happening Saturday, April 17th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Be sure to bring your resume, and the information for all of these job fairs can be found online at ktnv.com. Finding a new home, the city that has landed the Major League Baseball AllStar game after its controversial departure from Atlanta. Plus, new film shattering records at the theaters this weekend. How the pandemic may shape the movie experience going forward. Welcome back. One of the web's pioneers is going offline for good next month. Yahoo Answers is shutting down May 4th. The question and answer platform launched more than 15 years ago, and it became one of the largest collections of information and misinformation on the internet. Yahoo says the portal will go into read-only mode in 2 weeks. Users have until June 30th to download any content they want to keep. Today, Major League Baseball says it's moving this year's All-Star game to Denver. Coors Field was picked as the site of the game after the league moved the game out of Atlanta. Now, MLB making the change due to voting laws passed in Georgia last month. The legislation includes new restrictions on voting by mail, greater legislative control over how elections are run, and also prohibits volunteers from distributing food and water to voters waiting in line. Now, civil rights groups raising concerns that the new law restricts voting access to people of color. March Madness is over. The Baylor Bears men's basketball team winning their first ever national championship. The Bears beating the Gonzaga Bulldogs, winning the game with tough defense while shooting lights out from 3. Baylor handing Gonzaga its only loss of the season. Final score on this one, Baylor 86, Gonzaga 70.
You really believe in this low-key variant?
Luckily, he believes in himself enough for the both of us.